If we sort of, I'm hoping that one, yeah, I think it'll be a good check.
That's good.
That's good. I think it's good.
Right, but still.
Good morning. No. Good morning. Anybody there? Hello?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Donna Williams, and I am the chair of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. It is 10 minutes to 10, October 25th, 2023, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. Please be aware that this meeting is being broadcast live via the internet. So before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome those who are joining us via video conference and ask that you observe the following etiquette. Please state your name before you speak. Mute your phone when you're not speaking and keep background noise to a minimum. Members, when I call your name, please announce present. Donna Williams, present. Emma Swartz, vice chair. Present. Richard Clemmer, Zoom.
Present.
Rick Fries.
Present.
Ashley Thomas.
Present.
Daniel Wong.
Present.
Daniel, I gave you a new name. Amy Sawyer. Student representative, I think she's absent this morning. Please record in the minutes that we have a quorum. Agenda item 2 is consideration and possible action to adopt the minutes for the July 26, 2023 committee meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the July 26, 2023 minutes of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success? May I have
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion. Have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 3 is public testimony on agenda items relating to the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. We do not have anyone registered to testify, so we'll go to the next item. Agenda item 4 is consideration and possible action to adopt the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes non-controversial items that we think can be approved without comment or discussion. This allows us to save time for other items that need more of our attention. Highlighted items in gray are the consent items on the agenda. Of course, any board member can request that the agenda item be added or removed from the consent calendar. Agenda items listed on consent for this meeting are 5D, consideration and possible action to appoint members to the Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. 5J, consideration and possible action to adopt the report to the board on school closures and or teach outs pursuant to Board Rule 7.76. Agenda item 5K, consideration and possible action to adopt the Community College Transfer Student Report, General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 45, Special Provisions 87, Texas Legislature Regular Session. Members, are there any items that anyone would like to add to the consent calendar? Are there any items, agenda items that anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar? Do I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Have a second. Second by Richard Clement. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 5A is consideration and possible action to approve receipt of fiscal year 2024 Carl D. Perkins Community and Technical Colleges Consolidated Grant Mid-Year Reallocation Funds not to exceed $9.5 million. Dr. Tina Jackson, Assistant Commissioner for Workforce Education, will present this item and be available to answer questions. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Tina Jackson. I serve as Assistant Commissioner of Workforce Education. The Texas Administrative Code 1.16b requires that the board of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board approve any agreement over $5 million, inclusive of all amendments. Today, you are being asked to approve the receipt of up to $9.5 million in career technical education funds from the Texas Education Agency. You will recall that the Texas Education Agency is responsible for state administration of the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Perkins 5 funds. TEA allocated approximately $38 million in Perkins 5 consolidation funds to the coordinating board for the administration of the state's post-secondary Perkins 5 grant program for fiscal year 2024. The board approved receipt of the funds at its April 2023 board meeting. The Consolidated Funds Award supports the formula basic grant programs, non-traditional gender programs, career and technical education, and agency administration of the Perkins program. 85% of the allocation, or just over $32 million, supports our formula grant program. Each year, TEA reallocates surplus funds from the previous year's Perkins program. This reallocation amount is added to the coordinating board's current year formula grant program. This year, TEA will reallocate up to $9.5 million. This addition to the coordinating board's formula grant program will bring the total for fiscal year 2024 to an estimated $42 million. As a reminder, formula grant funds distributed to colleges must address the goals of the Perkins State Plan. And those goals are to provide career exploration and career development activities through an organized, systematic framework designed to aid students, to provide professional development for teachers, faculty, school leaders, administrators, specialized instructional support, personnel, career guidance, and academic counselors, and also paraprofessionals, to provide within career and technical education the skills necessary to pursue careers in high value, high wage, and high demand industries, to support integration of academic skills in career and technical education programs and programs of study, to plan and carry out elements that support the implementation of career and technical education programs and programs of study, and to develop and implement evaluations of activities carried out with funds awarded, including evaluations necessary to complete the comprehensive needs assessment. And this concludes my report.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Dr. Jackson? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve receipt of fiscal year 2024 Carl D. Perkins Community and Technical Colleges Consolidated Grant Mid-Year Reallocation Funds not to exceed $9.5 million? May I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion by Richard Clement. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Amber Schwartz. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 5B is consideration and possible action to adopt recommendations relating to the revisions of the principles of good practice for academic degrees and certificate programs and credit courses offered at Virginia. Dr. Michelle Taylor, Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Digital Learning, will present this item and be available to answer questions.
Good morning, Chair Williams, Vice Chair Schwartz, and esteemed committee members. I am Michelle Singh, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Assistant Commissioner for Digital Learning, and I'm very happy to be with you today. The Principles of Good Practice for Distance Education, or the PGP, were last revised in 2019. New rules in Texas Administrative Code adopted by the board at the April 2023 meeting, effective December 2023, require that the PGP be updated and presented to the board for adoption no less than every 3 years. This was recommended by our institutions to be responsive to the dynamic nature of the field of digital learning. The PGP provides guidance to the board, agency staff, and Texas institutions of higher education regarding established best practices for distance ed and is aligned with national quality standards to establish and maintain digital excellence in practice. The PGP serves as a holistic framework for digital learning considerations across the institutional ecosystem, including alignment to institutional mission, student support services, fiscal impact, adherence to federal standards, and of course, instructional support with a focus on faculty instruction. Institutions will assess distance education in accordance with the PGP on an ongoing basis as part of the institutional plans for distance education that are required by TAC. The Learning Technology Advisory Committee, LTAC, established a subcommittee of members and subject matter experts from across Texas institutions to update the PGP. Led by Dr. Robert Green from Lone Star College and Janet Camps from Del Mar College, the subcommittee, which represented 30 institutions from across the state, reviewed the new distance education definitions along with recognized standards from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, the Council of Regional Accrediting Commissions, CRAC, Quality Matters, and the Online Learning Consortium's Quality Scorecard to update the PGP with revisions. The subcommittee also added guidance from online SUNY Course Quality Review, an openly licensed course quality rubric created by the State University of New York Online. The LPAC subcommittee worked diligently over the summer in coordination with THECD staff to update the PGP to align to the newly approved definitions and approval processes for distance education and to map requirements to the aforementioned national standards. The PGP was presented to the full LPAC during its August 2023 quarterly meeting. LPAC voted unanimously to approve its recommendation to the board. The revised PGP and executive summary were provided in your board materials. The staff recommendation is for approval, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the recommendation relating to the revision of the principles of good practice for academic degree and certificate programs and credit courses offered at a distance? May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Frias. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ashley Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5C is the report on activities of the Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for Persons with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, Texas Education Code, Section 61.06641. Dr. Janelle, I almost got it, Struthers, Assistant Commissioner for Student Success, will present this item and be available to answer questions. Members, this item is for information only.
Thank you, Chair Williams, and good morning, board members. I am Jenny L. Strother, and I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Student Success. The IDD Advisory Council's activities report, which includes the report on access to higher education for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, is available for the committee to review. As you all know, the Advisory Council is charged with advising the board on policies and practices to improve post-secondary education opportunities for persons with IDD. The report was prepared and submitted by members of the Advisory Council in late 2022. The purpose of the report is to help remove barriers that prevent individuals with IDD from reaching their economic, social, and educational goals. Students with IDD who attend post-secondary education are prepared to enter the workforce and talent pool to meet the needs of businesses in Texas and contribute to statewide economic growth. This report describes their issues and barriers to accessing a higher education and provides recommendations for changes to support higher education success and achievement. The coordinating board works with the advisory council and other stakeholder organizations to improve access to higher education with individuals with IDD based on the findings of this report. This concludes my remarks, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions?
No, I have a comment though. Are there student organizations that work on this program around the state, or you know that?
I'm sure, but I can get back to you on an exact count, but I'm sure.
I'm curious, and I thank the advisory committee for all the hard work that they do with these students, because I think it's really important, obviously, not only with disabilities, but with mental health issues that we have going on in higher education instead of so. Please send thanks to the advisory council on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Thank you. Agenda items 5D, this item was approved on consent. Agenda item 5E is the report on activities of the Apply Texas Advisory Committee. The committee co-chairs Dr. Andy Benoit, Vice President, Division of Enrollment Management, Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. I think he's joining us via Zoom. And Jennifer Beal, Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management, North Central Texas College, will provide a summary on committee activities and be available to answer questions. Jennifer, we'll start with you and then we'll come back to.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. It's my first time in our lovely capital, so I'm excited. It's not 110 degrees outside. So to start off, Andy and I co-chaired the Applied Texas Advisory Committee this year. The purpose of our committee is to discuss and vote on the changes that may be needed to in the application for the upcoming application cycles for the Apply Texas application. The committee also addresses additional initiatives to strengthen the student participation and access into higher education. Welcome, Andy.
Sorry.
That's okay. The tasks that we include are technical and functional revisions to the common application process and the Apply Texas system, development of training materials for the users of the various components of the Apply Texas system, recommendations on admissions policies, and other activities necessary for the maintenance of the Apply Texas system. Our reporting period was September 2022 to August 2023. We have supplied a committee list for you for your reference if you need that. Our committee met 3 times on November 2nd, 2022, February 2nd, 2023, and June 14th, 2023. The committee cost for the fiscal year of 2023 was estimated at $5,100 for the fiscal year. That included travel and lodging of $2,000 and staff time that equated to $3,100. The committee members spent approximately 5 to 7 days on committee work for the 3 meetings. The staff members averaged approximately 10 to 12 days to prepare, attend, and develop the minutes for each of these meetings. At this time, we do not have any recommendations for the board. So what have we been doing? That's what you want to know, right? Okay. So we have embarked on a huge process, a huge solution of coming up with the new Applied Texas application. So in April of 2021, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board received board approval to solicit a new solution for the management of Applied Texas. This was in preparation for the end of the coordinating board's contract with our current vendor, UT Austin, which was set to expire August 31st, 2023. A request for offers was posted on September 26th, 2022, and the deadline to submit proposals was October 26th, 2022. So a new vendor was selected and awarded in January of 2023. And we're excited that by July 1st, 2024, a new and enhanced Applied Texas application for the 2024-2025 school year will open on this new platform. Updates to the current Applied Texas system during this process were paused while we are working on the new solution to transition it with the redesign. The redesign of Applied Texas came from the ATAC and other stakeholder feedback and is being guided with the focus of improving the student user, the counselor, and the institution's experience with a major focus on the student experience. The THECB and vendors work with the ATAC to seek their feedback on recommended changes to the Applied Texas system. So our strategic planning subcommittee, which is led by Miguel Walowski. The purpose of that subcommittee is to discuss, plan, and implement long-term strategic changes to the Applied Texas application. On May 30th, 2023, this subcommittee members, which represent 2-year and 4-year institutions, participated in a work session to review and provide feedback on the proposed redesign of the Applied Texas application, which included the profile, the application types, and school required questions and essays. In the redesign of Applied Texas, each application will be comprised of 2 different parts. A core questions part, which is a single set of questions, which include profile questions, application type questions that applicants will be eligible to answer. These questions are the reuse questions that will be submitted to each of the schools that the student applies for. So they answer them one time. They only answer them once. They don't have to answer every time that they do an application. The second set of questions are the school required questions and essays, and these are additional questions and essays that are determined by each school. So our primary focus was to make it user-friendly and easy for our Texas students to get through the application part, because that's the first hurdle of the whole hurdle. So we're very excited that it's going to be rolling out on July 1st, 2024. Andy, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you so much for allowing us to be with you today. I apologize, my video wasn't working at first and it was making it completely awkward. Technology is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it has some hiccups. What we have been undergoing as a committee over the course of the last few years in this redesign, as my colleague pointed out, we are making this a lot more user-friendly for our students, but we are also trying to develop proper practices and operations to allow functioning in our universities to also be smoother, allowing for quicker processing, ease of processing, in addition to providing a seamless experience for our students. Texas is, according to what we are trying to do and what have been doing over the years with Applied Texas, is a model that many places around the country can follow. And the fact that we are allowing basically our own massive common application process to make getting into universities and college across our state that much easier. So the changes that we've been putting into place and working on over the course of the last year or so have been solely making that process better for our students, as my colleague pointed out, but also leading the standard around the country. So we're very proud of where we've gone, but we're also very happy what the committee will continue to do with this new reveal and this new application process that's going to be going out in the summer of 2024. And we're open for any questions that you might have.
If I could weigh in just a minute, just a couple of things to put this in context. And first, I want to say thank you to Jennifer and to Andy and to their colleagues on the advisory committee. And I think you downplayed it a little bit, Jennifer, but this is a huge lift for us to transform the way that Applied Texas works. And also, I can say I understand this from a different perspective this year as I'm a senior in high school, and so I've sat there and struggled with getting the application to work on my own side. And so where we're driving now is where Apply Texas will be embedded with Apply Texas Future. So students could go, they create a profile, we're getting more and more advising tools available for students. So by the time the new Apply Texas goes live, with just a couple of clicks, the students will be able to pre-populate their application to be able to get connected with institutions that offer programs that they're going to be interested in. So we have a much more seamless experience for the students where they're not having to re-enter information that they've already entered multiple times in multiple places. So, so this is going to be transformative and remove barriers for students in being able to get connected with institutions, and we're trying to engineer that warm handoff to the programs that the students are interested in. So we are so excited about this project and deeply appreciative of the partnership with you and your colleagues. Also, I should say, although we're moving from UT Austin, UT Austin has been a great partner in this as well in helping facilitate that transition. So I think we're all on the same page for what we envision for this new kind of Apply Texas.
So I also want to comment, thank you, Commissioner, for that, because as board members and a lot of folks listening online, we know about Apply Texas, but we don't know the complexities or the challenges, and you're the Commissioner of Higher Education. Your example was like, you had to kind of grind through it a little
I
bit.
actually said a version of that out loud in my own kitchen.
So I think, Ms. Beal, you did a great job of explaining how it works, but my concern is that, like in my area and rural areas, connectivity and internet is an issue. In South Texas, there's some regions that are in high 40s that don't have any connectivity. So do we have any information on what kind of issue that is, or counselors helping? Because that could be a deterrent for some students or parents, especially first generation students.
I can answer that if you will. I think, being in Corpus Christi and serving a lot of our students in the Rio Grande Valley and some areas where access may be a challenge to be able to do some things and some of the online applications and everything. I think our universities in the region are having strong partnerships with high schools and making application days and everything available for us to be able to assist students in getting applications filed and everything, and doing everything we can to make the application available and serviceable for all of our students. In fact, I will say, as we've been concentrating a lot more of these things, especially since the pandemic, our applications at our institution in the Rio Grande Valley alone have tripled in that time. So we are all making a concerted effort to being able to put the time and energy to be able to assist students, because the one thing we want to make sure in the services that we're providing is access for all of our students, to make sure we have the opportunity at education available, and we're working toward that. And I hope I understood the question. And if I did not, I'll be happy to clarify.
No, you did. Thank you, Andy. That was good, because I think there's a lot of parents, first generation students that just aren't as in tune with the process. And so I think that's great. So thank you for that explanation.
Yes, sir.
I also want to add to your comment. We are developing the new Apply Texas as a mobile first product. And the difference is that websites can be mobile friendly, and then they can also be mobile first. Mobile first means that it's going to look and feel and be navigable on a mobile device, which is definitely going to help with accessibility. Through our research, we did find that a lot of students are applying using those smaller screens. And so it was really important to us to make sure that we were serving that smaller screen audience, and that it was still a seamless experience for them. And then the other thing is with redesign, we're really thinking of it as like TurboTax. So you don't need to be an accountant or a finance person in order to file your taxes, because at every single point, you are getting tips, you are getting the knowledge that you need at that point in time when you're answering that question. And so we've taken that same type of approach to really make sure that the user has their hand held throughout the process. And then we've also just made it so that those questions that typically in the past would need help, let's just reword them so that they don't need help. And so we're working through it in all those different ways.
Right, and finances could also be a question. So is there a fee to apply for each individual university or college, or is there just one fee as many universities? And are you seeing people applying to a lot more schools or just selected schools?
I think,
So-
right. I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay, it is up to the institution if they charge a fee. Every institution has the ability to decide what their fee is and how much if they are going to charge. Historically, the fees are usually only connected to university applications and not the community college applications. The community college applications are usually a no fee application.
What about the institutions? Do the institutions pay a fee?
Yes.
Oh, to do, yes, they play, we pay a fee to utilize Apply Texas. Yes, and that will continue with the community.
And when students are selecting, do they just go through and after they fill out the baseline information, do they just go through and pick which university they want their information to go to? Or how does that work?
Yes, so they go through the core questions first, and so that forms the foundation of their application. And then they can search for the specific institution and program that they want to apply to, if it's needed to delineate by the specific program. And then, like Jennifer was saying, there's then usually institution-specific questions that the applicant needs to fill out. And once those have been completed, then the application gets sent off to that institution.
How does it work? It's been obviously a long time since I applied with the transcripts and letters of recommendation and those other supplemental materials.
So those aren't done through the Apply Texas application. Usually how it works is the student submits the application through Apply Texas. It gets transmitted to that institution. Then that institution has their own communication methods to tell them what their needs are, what kind of documents they would need to change to turn in, because it's going to be different for every institution, whether it be a 2-year institution versus a 4-year institution. They might ask for different things.
So they get the list of all 64 or so, and then they pick and choose, and then they kind of connect them, and they follow up with institutions. Is that how it works?
Correct. Yes. While they're doing the application, they fill out their core questions. Who am I? Where do I live? All that kind of fun things. And then they say, what colleges do I want to apply to? And they list them all out there. And then if there's any, and what majors they're wanting to do at each of those places. And if there's any extra specific questions that are tied to that university or that major, then those would come after that.
Just a couple of things just to follow up. So one is like on the student transcripts, like that's one of the issues in particular that we're working on right now in consultation with TDAs. Can we streamline here instead of having to have sort of multiple requests from institutions? Could we just sort of have the student transcript come in much more seamlessly to the coordinating board through Apply Texas and send that out to multiple institutions, which would make it easier for the institutions. The other thing is we did as part of the appropriation that we requested and that we got related to student advising and future. So our intent in the new system clear is like right now, part of the way Apply Texas works is the institutions have to pay to subsidize the system. So they have to pay in the cost of the system. And so we did request and receive funding in our intent, and our hope would be to continue, where we'll just provide that as a utility service to the institutions and not ask the institutions to pay for the operation of that system. So that also would be helpful, I think, for the institutions because they're as they're describing, like, here are the changes that they need, or here are the changes that they want, then that also means that has a cost that then the institutions are then asked to pick up. And so we'd like to just be able to provide it as a utility service through My Texas Future for the institutions.
So have you been getting comments or suggestions from parents and students who actually use the system and for the advisory committee? And what are some of those comments, and have you implemented those changes?
So throughout the development process, we're using user-centered design. And so at each stage, when we are designing something for the application, we do user testing. And so that is going in, showing them possibly A/B testing, two different designs, what, to see kind of what the user, how they interact with it. And then we we iterate on those based on what we got back from the user. And so our users have included obviously our committee, and then we have parents, we have students who have previously used the application, and then students who are about to enter into the application. And so we've gotten a lot of great feedback. We also, prior to embarking on the redesign, we engaged with the vendor to do pretty significant user-centered research, and they really were able to give us great insights as to how a student approaches the application, and all of that has been incorporated into the redesign.
Thank you.
May I add also,
Start with them being able to use their cell phones. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, you're good. I wanted to add also that in that process, the questions that the institutions have been able to add that are institution specific have also been able to be used to address specific needs of that institution. And on our institution specifically, some of the questions that we're asking to get supplemental information have been things that have been as a result of feedback that we've gotten from counselors or from assisting students and parents. So we're able to do that as well.
Any additional comments, questions? Okay, members, this item was for information. Thanks so much. Thank you, Dr. Benoit, for doing this.
Thank you for having us.
Next is agenda item 5F, is a report on activities of the Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee. Mr. Dwayne Shaw, co-chair of the advisory committee, will provide a brief update on activities and be available to answer questions. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, committee members. And for the record, my name is Dwayne Shaw. I am the Executive Dean of Professional and Career Education at Kilroy College. And as many of you may recall, the WECM Advisory Committee was created in 2017 to provide advice to the board regarding content, structure, and currency, as well as maintenance to the Workforce Education Course Manual and its courses. In practice, this means identifying potential new WECM courses, ensuring that the course content is reviewed and revised as necessary, considering related courses for sequence and alignment, and assisting in identifying new programs of study and identifying any obsolete courses. With the assistance of the WECM Renovation Grant, which was a Carl Perkins funded leadership grant, the advisory committee held 11 course review workshops during this period. These workshops were facilitated by the WECM Advisory Committee and consisted of subject matter experts from the field who were invited to review the WECM courses, recommend additional new courses, and also recommend any closure of courses. The total in the workshops, the workshop participated in reviewing 419 local need and special topics courses and determined the need for new WECM courses and recommended 11 of those to the board for approval, which should be included in your board information, those 11 courses. The workshop participants also reviewed 907 WECM courses, recommending changes to 550 of those courses and recommending 15 courses to be archived. The advisory committee held 5 hybrid meetings, 3 in fiscal year 22 and 2 in fiscal year 23, where they considered recommendations made by a special topics and local needs course review team regarding the review of those courses. The WECM comment review team, which was in regard to responses from public comment, a WECM renovation project steering committee regarding the scheduling of the courses for the review workshops, and the WECM protocol review team regarding updates to the structure and function of the subject matter expert team and the course review workshops, and the course review team regarding the revision of the current WECM courses. The advisory committee also received updates from the coordinating board staff regarding Perkins and Texas working off campus, reinforcing knowledge and skills and internship programs. And that is the end of my report. If you have any questions.
I have a question or comment. Thank you for the advisory, because that's a lot of hours, a lot of important work for this, for that committee. Did you say you're from Kilgore College?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one of my colleagues out here, friends, went to Kilgore Years of Band. Of course, Kilgore Ranger Reds are very popular.
They
Tell
are
us a
indeed.
little bit about Kilgore. We don't get representatives from Kilgore.
Well, you're absolutely correct that we are known worldwide for the Rangerettes, of course. But also some of the discussions today have been phenomenal. I'm listening to Dr. Keller and some of the mentions of changing in House Bill 8 and the workforce programs and things that are going on there. I agree with what Dr. Keller mentioned. We, as community colleges in rural East Texas, looking at those workforce programs and moving that needle forward. My title that you may have noticed had changed because we are moving to that professional and career education, moving away from the term of non-credit. Sorry, that's a soapbox piece for me. It's continuing education, it's career education. We really don't like to use the term non-credit. It's a negative kind of connotation to what you're taking at classes. So we're trying to get away from those types of things. But we are looking forward to House Bill 8, to the outcomes funding, and adjusting and aligning some of the things for those short course certificates, and getting in alignment with helping to build a stronger workforce for the state of Texas. So that's kind of what we're doing, Kobe.
Yeah, just also to build on that, and Gwen, I want to say thanks for your help with this and on multiple fronts. So there's one of the folks who's helped us with a few projects at the coordinating board. We really appreciate it. So the board, I remember we did tap the brakes slightly on how, as we were updating our program approvals, so that we could focus on workforce programs and courses in the context of House Bill 8. So we're working in consultation with the institutions. The rector has got a point on this effort as we're thinking about sort of what should the WECM look like, what should the approval process look like, can we streamline some of this work and have it better aligned with the intent and vision for House Bill 8. So this work around WECM also is going to feed back into recommendations around program and course approvals for workforce education, and also the broader conversations about how we structure the incentives in House Bill 8 for the workforce program. So the idea is to get all of these things to cohere.
Speaking of the band, I don't know, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Keller was the band in Notre Dame. Actually, the band got it.
Any additional comments or questions? Members, this item is for information only. Mr. Shaw, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next is agenda item 5G, is consideration of board delegation to the commissioner for approval of the report required by General Appropriations Act, Senate Bill 1, Article 3, Section 4787, Texas Legislature, related to the effectiveness of the Advised Texas Program. Laura Brenham, Assistant Commissioner for College and Career Advising, will present this item to be available to answer questions. Or Ms. Molly will do it on.
I'm Laura Spencer, she can't be here today. Hello again. So the coordinating board staff is requesting board delegation to the commissioner for approval of the report to the governor and legislative budget board in response to Rider 47 on the 87th Texas Legislature regular session, which requires the coordinating board to evaluate the effectiveness of the Advised Texas program. So as a reminder, the Advised Texas program is a partnership with the College Advising Board, and Advised Texas places recent university graduates on high school campuses as near peer college advisors. Currently, we are under contract with Texas A&M, Texas Christian University, the University of Texas at Austin, and Trinity. And they hire a total of 153 near-peer college advisors, and they serve 110 high schools. Each chapter is responsible for recruiting, hiring, and training its own graduates to serve as advisors in the selected partner high schools. Advise Texas advisors receive intensive training that focuses on college access, financial aid, and other student services. Advisors provide admissions and financial aid guidance to students and their families to help identify a college that is a best fit for their college aspirations and academic preparedness. In response to Rider 47, the coordinating board, in coordination with college advising, has worked with Dr. Eric Bettinger, professor of education at Stanford University and evaluation and assessment solutions for education, to prepare a report on the impact of the Advise Texas program on college going rates. The report includes advisor impact, program impact on college enrollment and persistence. And the most recent report will provide college enrollment and persistent rates for the class of 2021, for which this class has the most complete data set. That concludes my remarks. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments? I have one question. Sure. You named 5 universities that have it. What about the other universities? Do they spiritual based? Do they reach out and say we want to participate? How will the institutions participate?
Yeah, so this is the specific program that is our traditional program, and then we also have a hybrid program with other institutions, and then we are in the process of considering program transformation in order to expand access to the different institutions. One thing that I will comment is that while the near peer advisors are attached to and come from these institutions, they are advising students on their best fit option. So it's not necessarily a one-to-one pipeline. They're working with the student. And so while it may be they're coming from one of those 5 institutions, and the advisor is knowledgeable about all the college options for students.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve board delegation to the commissioner for approval of the report related to the effectiveness of the Advise Texas program? May I have a motion? So moved. I have a motion by Ms. Thomas. May I have a second? Second. Second by Ms. Schwartz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5H is consideration and possible action to adopt a recommendation to approve the request from the University of Austin for an initial certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas. Elizabeth Mayer, Assistant Commissioner for Academic and Health Affairs, will present this item and be available to answer questions. Ms. Mayer.
Good morning, committee members, and I'm going to go ahead and provide an overview of this item, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So, the University of Austin seeks the board's approval for its first certificate of authority to grant a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies degree. The board is authorized to grant each certificate of authority for a 2-year period. The board may grant successive certificates of authority to an institution for a total of 8 years. After 8 years, absent sufficient cause, the institution must have obtained accreditation from a Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board recognized accrediting agency. UATX, it submitted a certificate of authority application, and upon a desk review, it was determined that the application was complete, acceptable, and ready for a site visit. The coordinating board conducted a site visit evaluation on May 9th through the 11th of 2023 with an external site reviewers and coordinating board staff who served as a liaison. The site evaluation team report was submitted to the coordinating board. The report found that the entity was in compliance with 15 of the 24 coordinating board required standards and was not in compliance or lacked information to support compliance with 9 of those standards. UATX responded to the report within 30 days of receiving the report, and the responses included necessary documentation to demonstrate compliance with all the standards found lacking in the site team report. The Coordinating Board's 6-member Certification Advisory Council, or CAC, reviewed the application, the site visit evaluation team's report, and the response to the evaluation report at its August 8, 2023 virtual meeting. The members voted unanimously to recommend approval of the application for its first certificate of authority with the following recommended conditions. UATX must apply for Texas Workforce Commission approval or exemption immediately after receiving the Coordinating Board Certificate of Authority authorization. TWC approval or exemption is required for the Coordinating Board Certificate of Authority to be valid. UATX may not apply for an amendment during this initial Certificate of Authority. UATX must report to the Coordinating Board changes in administrative personnel or faculty. UATX must provide to the Coordinating Board report after the first year of the initial Certificate of Authority, or October 2024, that includes a documentation of continued exemption or approval by TWC, a current audited financial statement, including break-even calculations, enrollment and retention figures, documentation of continued validity of surety instrument, and lastly, an updated accreditation plan. The Commissioner has independently made the recommendation based upon the information provided from the CAC to approve the University of Austin's application for its first Certificate of Authority with the conditions stated above. And that concludes my remarks. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Members, any questions or comments?
No.
No hearing, no other questions or comments. Do I have a motion to approve the request from the University of Austin for an initial certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas? May I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Walker. And have a second? I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Schwartz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And when we say motion passes, everybody know, but I'm gonna say motion passes to the full board. So we'll talk about it again tomorrow. Agenda item 5I is consideration and possible action to adopt a recommendation to approve a request for Burrell College of Obstetrics Osteopathic Medicine for the third certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas. I don't know where I got stuff on that. But Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions as well.
Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine in Las Cruces, New Mexico seeks approval for a certificate of authority to coordinate clinical clerkship rotations in Texas for 3rd and 4th year medical students through its regional education center in El Paso. The certificate of authority would be Burrell's 3rd certificate of authority, valid from October 23 to October 25. Burrell submitted its 3rd certificate of authority, completed a desk review, and it was determined that the application was complete, acceptable, and ready for a site visit. The coordinating board conducted a site visit evaluation at Burrell on June 6th through the 8th of 2023 with external site reviewers and coordinating board staff who served as a liaison. The site evaluation team report was submitted to the coordinating board. The report found that at the time of the visit, Burrell was in compliance with all coordinating board required standards. Burrell's June 19, 2023 response confirmed receipt of the report and then thanked the site visit team for their work. On June 22nd, 2023, Burrell was granted the status of candidacy by the Higher Learning Commission, an institutional accreditor. Burrell's osteopathic medical degree program is accredited by the American Osteopathic Association's Commission on Osteopathic College Accreditation, or COGA. The coordinating board's 6-member certification advisory committee, or CAC, reviewed Burrell's application, evaluation team's report, and the response to the evaluation report at its August 8, 2023 virtual meeting. The members voted unanimously to recommend approval of Burrell's application for its 3rd certificate of authority. The commissioner has independently made the recommendation based upon the information provided from the CAC to approve Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine's application for its 3rd certificate of authority. And that concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments?
So my comment will be that they will be eligible if this, the board approves tomorrow, this request, they'll be eligible for this one.
Yes, sir.
And this one will go from 2023 to 2025.
Yeah, that, okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the request from Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine for its third certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas? So, a motion by Ms. Schwartz, may I have a second? Second by Ms. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5J and 5K were approved on consent. Agenda item 5L is consideration of possible action to delegate authority to the Commissioner of Higher Education to approve and submit the study shortages in certain health professions pursuant to Texas Education Code Section 61.06691. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions. Elizabeth.
So this section of the Education Code directs the coordinating board to conduct a study in collaboration with the Texas Health Professions Resource Center, the Texas Center for Nursing Workforce Studies, and the Texas Demographic Center to identify statewide and regional shortages in health professions with an emphasis on shortages in doctoral level training in health professions. So the programs that are being reviewed and analyzed are medicine, dentistry, nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, audiology, psychology, pharmacy, public health, and speech pathology. We're also need to include information on the current institutions of higher education that offer these programs. At this time, we have received feedback from the entities listed above, and we need to work to integrate those revisions and to also ensure that we provide insight into whether the current Texas programs are at capacity or if they could expand, or if other programs need to potentially be established to provide the needed healthcare professions. We request that the committee delegate this authority to the commissioner and approve and submit this report as required to the legislature by December 1st. And that concludes my remarks.
I just have a question. Will we get a copy of that report as well?
Absolutely, absolutely.
When will that report be ready?
So it's due to legislature by December 1st, so we'll have it to you by then.
Or December 1st of this year?
Mhm.
Okay, so how did they determine which health professions to look at?
That was in the legislation. It was clearly defined. I'm not sure.
What about other professions in health that are not in? That's, this legislature decided that.
Yes, I'm not sure.
Is there information that can be on other health professions that are not on the list obtained or data?
I can look into that. And if you have any specifically in mind, you'd like me to look at, I'm happy to.
I'm just curious how the process works.
Yeah, so the 10 that were listed were actually the 10 that the legislature decided.
Thank you.
Do we know now that what are some of the reasons why we still have a shortage in those professionals? Is this because of people generally enough graduate or nobody going to the?
I think it's complicated.
It's all of them. It's all of them.
I think it depends on the kind of discipline it is. You know, medicine has, you need your residency positions. You also need to make sure for all of these professions, you have enough clinical sites typically. So like nursing, that is typically a friction point. So we want to really look at and see, are the actual institutional programs at capacity? Are they able to grow? Do we need to consider new programs at different institutions? So I think for each of those professions, it depends. And, you know, like with nursing, one of the challenges is there aren't enough faculty. So people can make more in the profession as opposed to being a faculty member. And so we just have to have those consider all of those things. And so like with speech pathology and audiology, that's something that we need to look at and see if the challenges that exist for like medicine or nursing, if they're the same or if they're different.
Is the report going to provide some sort of remedial measure to help to address those problems? Or?
So part of the legislation requires us to provide some policy recommendations and also looking at the shortages in the state overall and by region.
Additional questions or comments?
Can I ask one more? Will the study on the shortages break down based on demographics and as far as the different citizen groups that are?
We can look into that, looking at population, yes, we can go ahead and look at that.
Do I have a motion to approve the request to delegate authority to the Commissioner of Education to approve and submit a study shortages in certain health professions? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Wong,
Second.
second by Dr. Frias. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5M is lunch. It is. Yeah.
Brunch.
Due to the speed that we're moving through the agenda, the board has decided not to break for lunch this time. We'll move forward to the next agenda item, and that is agenda item 5E. Are the requests for new degree programs. Members, representatives from each institution will be available to answer questions tomorrow at tomorrow's quarterly board meeting. Removing the requirement for them to attend both the committee and the board meeting will reduce their travel time and costs for the institutions. Agenda item 5.1 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from Alamo District Northwest Vista for a Bachelor's of Applied Technology of BAT in Cloud Computing. Elizabeth Mayer will present these items in the event. Please.
Alamo District Northwest Vista College is seeking approval to offer a Bachelor of Applied Technology or a BAT degree program in cloud computing that would begin in the fall of 2024. The proposed program would be offered face-to-face and online. Though there are many programs in related fields, the proposed program would be the first baccalaureate degree program in Texas with a focus on cloud computing. The college will seek accreditation for the program from the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology Computing Accreditation Commission. A baccalaureate degree in cloud computing expands career opportunities for those with a 2-year associate's degree. The BAT students will develop advanced skill sets and a deeper comprehension of cloud infrastructure. The job market for individuals with expertise in cloud computing is promising. Both the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Texas Workforce Commission predict above average job growth in this field through 2030. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, Alamo Northwest Vista will hire 2 new core faculty over the first 5 years of the program implementation. And that concludes my remarks.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the request from the Alamo District Northwest Vista for a Bachelor's of Applied Technology, a BAT, in Cloud Computing? May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Thomas. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Schwartz. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5N2 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from the University of Texas at Tyler for a Doctor of Nursing Practice, DNP, in nurse anesthesia. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions.
The University of Texas at Tyler is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Nursing Practice or DNP degree program in nurse anesthesia that would begin in the fall of 2025. The proposed program would be offered face-to-face to students in Tyler. The institution is seeking accreditation for the program from the Council on Accreditation of Nurse Anesthesia Educational Programs. Nurse anesthetists are the highest paid nurse practitioners, earning an average starting salary of $158,000 in Texas. To practice anesthesia, nurses must hold a BNP in nurse anesthesia from a COA accredited program and pass a national certification exam to become a certified registered nurse anesthetist. Existing DNP and nurse anesthesia programs in Texas are at capacity. Admission data from 2020 show Texas institutions received 1,100 qualified applicants for just 205 available positions. The job outlook for CRNAs is positive. The Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Texas Workforce Commission predict an above average growth for the CRNA position through 2030. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, UT Tyler will hire 3 new core faculty over the first 5 years of the program implementation. And that concludes my remarks.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the request from the University of Texas at Columbia for a Doctor of Nursing Practice, DNP in nurse anesthesia? So moved. Have a motion, Ms. Schwartz. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Frias. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5N3 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio for a Doctor of Nursing Practice, a DNP in nurse anesthesia. Elizabeth.
The University of Texas Health Science Center San Antonio is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Nursing Practice degree program in nurse anesthesia that would begin in the fall of 2024. The proposed program would be offered face-to-face to students in San Antonio. The institution is seeking accreditation for the program from the Council on Accreditation of Nurse Anesthesia Educational Programs. In the previous proposal, you offered information regarding the labor market information, and which indicates a high demand for this field. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, UT Health Science Center San Antonio will hire an assistant director and 2 additional CRNA faculty prior to the fall start of the program. And that concludes my remarks.
Comments?
Just have a comment, since we have back-to-back.
Yes.
And a year start dates, obviously it depends on faculty and financials. Was there any other reason that you could see why there's a delay?
Probably the Bible piece is why it's making, and also making sure they want to make sure they have probably a full class.
The other thing I mentioned, I think this is the first time in a long time we haven't had an engineering program.
I know.
Here's play.
A lot of health professions today.
Any additional comments? Do I have a motion to approve the request from the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio for a Doctor of Nursing Practice, the DNP in nurse anesthesia? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Frias. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Vaughn. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5N4 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center for a Doctor of Philosophy, a PhD, with a major in public health. Elizabeth Mary.
University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Philosophy degree program in public health that would begin in the fall of 2024. The proposed program would be offered in person to students in Dallas. In March of 2022, the Peter O'Donnell Jr. Foundation gifted the institution with $100 million to both endow and provide current use funds for the O'Donnell School of Public Health. 2 initial areas of concentration for the proposed program will be health data sciences and health economics and policy. These specific foci are proposed due to existence of few research-intensive PhD programs in the UT Southwestern area. The school will also have nationally recognized faculty expertise in actively recruiting additional faculty, multiple dissertation opportunities for students through established research programs at UT Southwestern, and then lastly, a strong market demand for graduates in the 2 areas of concentration. The institution plans to seek accreditation for the program from the Council on Education for Public Health in 2027. The classification of the public health profession include multiple areas to represent its favorable job outlook. In May of 2021, the Bureau of Labor Statistics ranked Texas among the top 3 states with the highest employment rate for public health professionals. The Texas Workforce Commission anticipates the state demand for public health professionals to grow 27% from 2020 to 2030. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, the institution will hire 6 core faculty members in its first year of the program, raising the initial 7.5 full-time equivalent to 9.6 full-time equivalent. I do also want to know, in the chart for the program in the blue page, I think the resident tuition was listed about $6,000 and actually about $10,000, and then non-resident was listed at 12, and it's closer to 16. But I also want to note that we chatted with the institution, and they're actually planning to cover the cost for all students for this program. Just want to note that.
That's outstanding. Southwestern Medical Center for Academics, really, I mean, it's great to begin with.
Yes.
To have full tuition paid for these PhDs, I mean, that'll make us really competitive, not only in the United States, worldwide. It's great.
And I shared that I talked to staff members when we were going through the notes that I got to go to my first white coat ceremony.
Southwestern.
Yeah, Southwestern Medical Center last month while because of the doctor. It was pretty exciting. It was like a room full of country bumpkins. We were so excited. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the request from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center for a Doctor of Philosophy, a PhD with a major in public health? May I have a motion?
So moved.
So motion by Ms. Thomas. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Frias. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Agenda item 6 is adjournment. If there's no further discussion, may I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Frias, may I have a second? Second. You guys don't all speak at the same time. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Motion passes. We'll now take a short break to allow staff to set up for the agency operations committee meeting. The next